Hello, Dana here. I'm a certified holistic nutrition consultant, and I specialize in helping women overcome their perimenopause symptoms naturally using real food as fuel, as healing mechanisms, and as just sustainability for life. And today I want to share a story that really hit home for me, and I think it will for you as well. The other day, while I was doing yoga, so I follow a guy named Travis Elliott, and I love his power yoga sessions that I find on YouTube. And he always talks through the really long yin poses, the ones where we're holding for 3 to 5 minutes, and often has really great proverbs and words of wisdom and stories to tell. And this one story hit the other day. And I think it's an old proverb, but essentially, to summarize it, a young boy asks his master, how long will it take to master this skill that I really, really want to master? And the mentor, the master says, it's going to take 7 years. So the boy is so excited. He's like, well, I really want to do this quicker and I want to get through it in 3.5 years. So if I work twice as hard every day and become perfectly skilled at it, I'll hit it in half the time, right? And the master looks at him and says, well, no, if you do it that way, it's going to take you 14 years. And the boy says, well, that doesn't make sense because if I do double the work every day, I should get there faster. And essentially, the moral of this is that the harder you push to master a skill, the harder you push to get to a goal. Often, when we force that, it ends up taking longer and longer. So let that sink in for a second. When we talk about our health, and especially hormones, when we are in our perimenopause years, when hormones are going crazy all the time, it's really hard to keep up with them. The harder we push or try to force a solution or a treatment on them, the further away we get from true mastery or hitting that goal and achieving harmonious hormones and health. So let's think about how we, as society today, approach our health. How many times have you thought, I just need to lose 10 pounds in 30 days? Or if I take this supplement, I will fix my fatigue. We've all been sold these quick fixes. Their diets, their happy juices, their magic powders, their teas, their detoxes, their IV shots. There's so many gimmicks and tech for health now out there that promises all of these almost instantaneous results. It's a very short period of time before you're to get the results, right? Short-term pain for promised long-term gain, which we rarely get. And of course, I've been there, I've tried all these, and yes, absolutely. In the moment, they seem to work and we get excited and we see these results. Our pants get looser. And let's be honest, they might work for a moment. I've been there. I've had the results. I've done the detoxes where 7 days in, I'm like, yeah, my pants are looser and I feel lighter. But the next week, I'm right back to feeling bloated and fatted and arguably slightly larger than I was before the detox. This is like putting duct tape on a pool leak. The leak isn't gone, but the drainage or the loss of water will slow down slightly. It's hidden. But the longer we avoid actually fixing the root problem of that pool leak, the worse off we're going to be. And the more expensive and frustrating and harder the actual solution to the problem is going to become. I don't know exactly how much time and money I have spent in my life on quick fixes that never got me anywhere. But I do know I added up one time supplements. So when I was really big on all the supplements are going to help me and trying all the different ones, when one didn't work, I moved on to another one. At one point, I had 28 going in my pantry at the same time. I added it up in my head on average, and I believe in about 15 years, I spent close to $20,000 on supplements and supplement-like things like powders and health products and all of these things. And not one of those $20,000 worth of supplements or pills or powders did anything for me. A few of them made things very obviously worse. But when I got into holistic nutrition and started really focusing on healing my body with the right food for me, the cost of what I was spending on health gimmicks and products went drastically down to almost nothing. I I've stopped taking most supplements. I have 4 bottles beside me, 3 of which I try to take daily, and the 4th is like an occasional one. It's zinc for when I feel like I need it. So my budget, the amount that I spend on supplements now today in the last like 4 or 5 years, roughly $100 a year, give or take, depending on when I run out. So besides that, when we chase the fast results, we miss the bigger picture. And that's ultimately the problem. That's why we're not getting anywhere. That's why it feels like we take 2 steps forward and then fall back 2 steps or 3 steps afterwards, especially with weight loss. We treat our bodies like projects or science experiments to be completed instead of this beautiful ecosystem that needs to be nurtured. Think about a garden. If you have ever been a gardener, if you're a gardener today and you want to grow vegetables, you go out and you nurture that soil before you plant the seeds. You till it, you put fertilizer in it, you like churn it up, you add maybe some composting to it. And then you go out and you get your seeds or your seedlings and you plant them and you water them and you love on them. And then they grow and flourish. And, 4 or 5 months later, you've got this beautiful garden with an abundance of food. Now think about that. Could you quick fix this? Not going out and buying a pre-grown tomato plant, for instance, but how would you get from that beautiful soil with all its nutrients that you've done to put into it to a full-blown tomato plant quickly? It's almost impossible. It doesn't work that way. The best things come when we put some effort and some nurturing and loving into them. And that's how we have to start treating our hormones. I know that the marketing messages for a lot of health products is basically, take this, magic will happen. It's not how the body works. And it's just like that boy I talked about at the beginning that's trying to force the mastery. These quick fixes often set us back further than if we'd taken a slower, more intentional approach and really gotten to understand what our own bodies need. Those quick fix diets, the ones that promise 10 pounds lost in 30 days or inches lost in so many days, they might help you lose weight temporarily, but they don't teach you how to nourish your body for the long haul. And most people regain the weight, and often more, because they never learned what their bodies actually need. In my case, I lost weight following a calorie restrictive but not too crazy diet, just dropped calories and counted calories for 6 months. And it was, yes, for 6 months, it worked. I lost almost 40 pounds and I hit my goal. And I isolated myself from society for 6 months. I turned down all kinds of social events with my team at work, my friends. I just basically hung out by myself for 6 months. So it was really lonely. But at the end of that 6 months, I'm like, okay, I will go back out into the world. And then I did. And I still did my best to follow how I had been eating, portion sizes, etc., and looking at how many calories might be in food. But not long after that 6 months, I started to struggle. And then it just became a daily battle of, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Why is this not working? Why are my pants getting bigger? Oh my goodness, I had 1 beer on the weekend. Is that reason? Like, it just became very stressful. And my brain was consumed by all of these thoughts and concerns and guilt and, beating myself up for doing the wrong thing. And then beating my body up because I'm like, why are you rebelling against me like this? Because I never actually learned what foods my body needed to stay at the weight that I had become. And that was something I learned later and turned on almost effortlessly without me even trying when I discovered how to address hormonal health from the inside. And also supplements. Supplements are not quick fixes. They're not magic pills, and they do not act like prescription drugs at all. Without addressing your diet, stress, and lifestyle, they are like tossing seeds on concrete. We're not going to get the results you want. They can't take root if the foundation isn't right. Supplements are meant to like top up. They're like that splash of like cranberry juice in a really elegant cocktail. You've got your base alcohol and then the, let's say, soda water or something. It's that splash to just give it that little oomph. And then let's talk about those 30-day programs or detoxes. Like I said, they might give you a boost, generally because they take out some very inflammatory foods and habits, but they don't tackle the reasons why you're fatigued, inflamed, or out of balance in the first place. They mask the problem and most of the time make the problem worse because they're so nutrient deficient. And I say this with so much compassion because I've been there. I tried all of those quick fixes. I've done the supplements, the detoxes, the very strict meal plans. I couldn't stick with those ones very well. I'm just not that, I'm not built that way. And you know what happened to me? I got more exhausted. I flared up my chronic fatigue syndrome. I gained weight. I gave myself insomnia. I made my period a hot mess. I had headaches. I had aches and pains. I just basically was just a hot mess. So another little example that happened to me a few years ago after a detox cleanse, I took a hormone lab test and the results came back. And based on that one snapshot in time, my naturopath prescribed me a hormone boosting supplement regime, which was, I think I've talked about this before. And I was super hopeful, like, cool, this is exciting. But within 3 weeks, I'd gained 15 pounds and was waking up every night around 2 or 3 in the morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep. And this is more to attest to the fact that lab tests are inaccurate when you're in perimenopause. But I was given a supplement to fix a hormonal issue that did do some serious damage. And I just felt so lost. And I felt like I was right back where I was after I'd lost that weight and started battling it. Like, what is going on? Why is this happening? And then my body was rebelling against me, like gaining weight. And I was doing silly things like trying to eat less. And it was getting bigger. Like, it was just, I fell back on quick fixes because I went into kind of a bit of like panic mode. And then I had to stop myself and say, look, okay, you're not gaining weight because you're eating too much here. You're gaining weight because your estrogen has just been thrown off the charts by that stupid supplement. So what do we do in that case? Well, we don't combat weight, hormonal weight, with calorie counting because that stresses the body out and adds more problems with stress, fat, and inflammation and estrogen imbalances. So I had to take a step back again and say, let's look at the root cause. What do we do? And slowly over about 6 to 8 weeks, I finally was able to clear that estrogen that I had been pumped full of and drop a few of the inches. But this was a bit of a wake-up call for me, especially around supplements and lab tests, because they can backfire on you so massively without even realizing it. What I really learned from all this was that real health, real hormone balance, it doesn't come from the quick fixes. It comes from listening to your own body, taking that breath, stepping back and saying like, okay, what is really going on here? And then taking action. It's addressing the root cause of the problem. And this is really difficult to wrap your head around sometimes because you've been taught that in your perimenopause that your hormones to look at are estrogen and progesterone. And so many women are given supplements or hormone replacement therapy or birth control pills in order to rebalance those two hormones. And those aren't the two hormones that need the most love right now. There are other hormonal imbalances that are happening because those hormones are changing and causing those hormonal imbalance symptoms that you're experiencing. It is normal for progesterone to drop day after day after day from the time you're in puberty until you hit menopause, and then it stops. It is normal for estrogen levels to start declining around age 35 or so as you approach menopause. Estrogen will never completely stop being produced, but the abundance of good estrogen does stop getting produced as we get closer to menopause. And then we're left with the other version that is not so lovely for us. And that's the one that we need to pay attention to. And that's the one that we need to really focus on clearing, detoxifying, making sure it's not becoming overactive in the body. So the key to long-term hormonal rebalance is tuning into your body and really listening to the symptoms and understanding what those symptoms mean. You can Google your symptoms all you want and see that, say, low levels of estrogen are related to hot flashes. That is not true. That's not the full story. Most of my clients have hot flashes, night sweats, weight gain, mood swings, all of these problems because of a concept known as estrogen dominance. And estrogen dominance is rampant in so many women due to our diets, past diet culture, our lifestyle, our stress levels, and some of these hormone replacement therapies that they don't actually need. But it's not just the common hot flash, night sweat, hormonal issues associated with menopause that we need to focus on. We need to stay aware of everything. Are you becoming a little bit more constipated as you get older? Is your sleep being thrown off more often? Do you feel a little more tired and groggy in the morning than you used to? How's your brain fog throughout the day? Aches and pains just randomly happening? And are there patterns that are going through your body through the months? Maybe they're based on your cycle. Maybe they're based on stress levels. Maybe they're based on just the day of the week as well, because we do often go hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then by Thursday we get a little bit like we want to crash. And so that happens. Are we sleeping appropriately? Are we sleeping too much? Are we sleeping too little? Are we pushing ourselves in the evening when we need to let our body rest? We have to take accountability for our health as well when it comes to rebalancing our hormones and not try to rely on quick fix treatments, because without you doing the work to give yourself the self-care, eating the best foods for your body, exercising or moving your body daily, those supplements, those pills, none of that is going to actually fix the problem. They may mask it for a while, but when we mask a problem, things tend to get worse below the surface until they explode on us later on, and then it's so much harder. So this journey does not need to be a long one. I'm not saying that to rebalance your hormones suddenly it's going to be a years-long endeavor. It took me about 3 years to figure it out, but I did not have much guidance, and I was going off of a lot of information that I was learning in school. However, I have been able to help my clients regulate their hormones within 4 to 6 months and give them all the knowledge they need as well to maintain their progress. So, like that boy in the proverb, we don't want to force the healing process because it's too easy to cause more damage and not realize it. Instead, we need to embrace this journey, accept that our bodies have been changing on us for quite some time. We've all done a number on ourselves over the years, and if we're experiencing symptoms now, well, we have to accept that there's been some damage caused, and we need to embrace the journey and understand what's going on deep at the heart of the problem and address that. The more quick fixes we throw at these problems, the more likely we are to stay stuck and ultimately make our perimenopause years so much more unpleasant. True health mastery comes from consistency, patience, and learning what your body uniquely needs. It's about tuning into the whispers and the symptoms today, but specifically those whispers before they become shouts. It's about catching small imbalances before they become big imbalances. It's about nourishing your body with the right foods, not just healthy foods, not just clean foods, but what works for one woman might not work for another. So it's so important to understand what you need uniquely nutritionally. Nutrients are what your body runs on. Nutrition heals the body. You've heard it, I'm sure. Food is medicine. It's the best medicine. And a big part of this journey is to trust your intuition. Trust that if your body is throwing up resistance to a certain style of eating, a certain diet plan, a certain supplement, it's doing so for a reason. Just because everybody on the internet is talking about carnivore these days does not mean that is right for you. And if you feel something is wrong about that for you, then that's probably correct. That's your body saying, hey, nope, don't do that, please. I cannot take that. Carnivore diet is very stressful. It's very hard on the body. And your body will ultimately react as such down the road if you force it on your hormones when they're not ready for it. One size fits all, generic, bad diets, these do not fix your hormones. What fixes hormones is personalized nutrition that is right for your unique imbalances and nutrient gaps. And if you ever want to go deeper on this, we can get you booked into a root cause hormone assessment where we will understand exactly what your unique nutrient gaps are, which hormones are actually out of whack, and these might be very different from lab tests you've had in the past. And that's what's so cool and why this strategy works so well, because we actually get to see what's going on inside of you. And there's many others imbalances that we'll look at to see what your unique root cause is. And so there's a link below to book that. And if you're not up for that, I have a couple links below for some of my free offers.